Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining today's virtual meetup. On today's agenda, we will discuss the new ArcGIS solutions for winter weather. As a reminder, later in the meetup, we'll have several sections for questions. So if you'd like to submit questions, and you can use the Q&A button in the panel at the bottom of your Zoom screen. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to Chris and Ryan and get us started.
Thanks, Matt. My name is Chris Fox, and I lead the infrastructure team on the state and local government ArcGIS solutions. And joining me today is Ryan Nosik, who's been leading our effort in developing the ArcGIS solutions for winter weather. So first, I want to spend some time talking about what ArcGIS solutions are for those of you who are new or aren't familiar with ArcGIS solutions. These are industry-specific configurations of ArcGIS that align with your business needs. They're designed to help you improve operations, provide new insights into your data, and they can enhance services. And they come with ArcGIS, your investment in ArcGIS, and they're fully supported, so you can contact technical support if you ever encounter any issues. They can help you maximize your investment in ArcGIS, and you can deploy these solutions within minutes and get them up and running and configured to meet your needs. They can be deployed inside your ArcGIS Online organization or to your ArcGIS Enterprise. And today we want to spend a little bit more time talking about a specific, actually two new ArcGIS solutions that we're going to be releasing later in November around winter weather. So with that, I want to hand it off to Ryan, who's going to spend some time talking about these new solutions.
That's great. Thank you, Chris. Okay, so adverse weather conditions have a major impact on the safety of our roadways, and communities depend on efficient winter weather operations to keep roads safe and traffic flowing. So as a result, state and local agencies spend more than $2.3 billion on snow and ice control operations annually. To create our winter weather solutions, we worked closely with existing users to understand the challenges they were facing. And as we developed the solution, we heard several common themes. Severe winter storms are happening more frequently. The U.S. Federal Highway Administration estimates that over 70% of our roads and population are in snowy regions. And with the increasing number and intensity of winter storms, nearly all public works and DOTs must develop winter weather response plans to address these natural hazards. And while agencies, state and local agencies spend more than $2.3 billion on these operations each year, the recent workforce reductions have driven an increased use of contracted resources. As a result, it's increasingly becoming more difficult for organizations to ensure service levels are being met and that consistent information is being reported. And planning and response information is also often siloed. Many organizations have recognized the benefit of real-time plow locations, but the technology used to capture that information may vary across a fleet. Furthermore, connecting winter weather plans to this real-time operational data so you can measure organizational performance can be a challenge. And finally, maintaining a large road network is complex, and quickly communicating progress to travelers is a challenge for government agencies. Many times, the lack of information leads to redundant work assignments, budget overruns, frustrated travelers, and a disenfranchised community. So to overcome those challenges, ArcGIS Solutions for Winter Weather includes a series of mapping and location capabilities that can help state and local governments to improve their winter weather planning process, to streamline their operations, and to increase public transparency and trust. Used together as a comprehensive system, the ArcGIS Solutions for Winter Weather provides a series of capabilities that have been designed for various personas in your organization that support snow and ice control operations, such as mapping technicians, drivers, yard supervisors, operations management, and directors or PIOs, as well as the people you service in your communities. These maps and apps are designed to help you improve the planning process, helping you manage an authoritative source of information such as snow routes, service areas, parking restrictions, and vehicle information. So your organizations can be prepared for operations when the winter season begins. And when the winter storms do arrive, these capabilities help streamline operational activity with a series of apps to help you track winter event observations, vehicle locations, material used, so you can record key performance metrics during operations. Additionally, a series of apps will help you monitor and review snow and ice response activities during operational periods and over the course of the winter season. So you can ensure service levels are being met during active events and that you are able to review past activity so you can adapt snow response plans and address performance challenges throughout the season. And as operations unfold during winter storms, you can improve public trust and transparency with a single website destination that helps you share response plans, snow routes and priorities, parking restrictions, and near real-time road status updates, helping travelers understand when roads were last serviced and reducing the number of calls and complaints that your agency might receive. Designed to work together, the ArcGIS solutions for winter weather will be delivered as two solutions: winter weather operations and winter weather outreach, each containing maps and apps that can stand on their own to support organizations' needs, both internal and external. The winter weather operations solution will provide a set of capabilities that help you develop winter weather response plans, centralize snowplow vehicle feeds, monitor operations in real time, and track key metrics during an event and throughout the season, and share near real-time road status updates. The winter weather operations solution will require an ArcGIS Velocity Advanced license to deploy in your organization. The winter weather outreach solution will deliver a separate set of capabilities to help you share winter weather response plans, communicate route status updates to your community, and solicit winter weather related requests for service from the public. And if used without the operations solution, winter weather outreach will include a route status manager app providing dispatch and operations management the ability to manually update route status information as it's received from drivers over the radio. Without automated route status updates coming from the winter weather solution, this may prove a useful option for smaller scale operations with fewer vehicles in operation and servicing a smaller network of roads. But when outreach is used with operations, these route status updates happen automatically using analytics that are shipped with the winter weather operations solution and the vehicle feeds that you configure to connect to your snowplow fleet. So before we get into some of the more exciting content and live demos of the actual apps, I wanted to talk about a few essential workflows that are designed to help your organization plan and prepare for the upcoming winter season. So shipped with both solutions, the Winter Weather Pro project will help you load, transform, and organize your foundational data such as snow routes, service areas, and parking restrictions. Tasks defined in the Pro project will help you guide you as you work with existing data and complete various steps in geoprocessing tasks before loading that data into the solution schema. Inventorying vehicles is also a critical step in preparing and planning for your upcoming winter season. With this workflow, you will document the current state of technology and needs of your winter fleet for each vehicle, including documenting each vehicle with its unique asset number or ID, and additional information about the vehicle that will be helpful for response planning as well as during active operations. This is an important part of the planning process and enables one of the more unique and powerful capabilities of the winter weather operations solution, which is the ability to create a common operating picture of all of the vehicles supporting your operations, which means you can even support contractor vehicles if needed. The solution is designed not only to connect to your vehicles in your fleet that already have an existing AVL on board, but can also connect to vehicles that don't. We understand that not all vehicles in a fleet may have the same sensors set up to report plow up or plow down or active salt or material spreading. Or it could be that some vehicles in your fleet don't have any AVL on board at all. Whatever the case may be with vehicles supporting your operations, the design of the solutions data model and the capabilities of the ArcGIS velocity analytics that are shipped with the solution, you will be able to support vehicles in your fleet with limited AVL or no AVL technology. By leveraging ArcGIS location tracking and field operation capabilities, any fleet driver or contractor with a device can be integrated into and tracked in your winter fleet operations. All right, so to support this capability and to round out the planning and preparation workflows, we're going to transition over to the Winter Operations Center app that ships with the Winter Weather Operations Solution and take a look at some vehicle management workflows. So our first destination in the Winter Operations Center is the Vehicles page, where we can access our completed list of inventoried vehicles. So you have a few options when you complete your vehicle inventory. You can use an Excel spreadsheet that is shipped with the solution to help you batch load existing vehicle information, or you can use the Winter Operations Center and add a new vehicle directly. So when inventorying vehicles, you will specify the unique asset ID or the vehicle ID used by your vendor AVL, if the particular vehicle that you're adding has an AVL on board. And for vehicles using ArcGIS location tracking, you will define a unique vehicle ID of your choice. For vehicles leveraging ArcGIS location tracking and field operations capabilities, you will use these vehicle IDs as project user input when configuring the status reporter quick capture project. For organizations that augment with contractors, define if the vehicle you are adding is a part of your dedicated fleet or not. The inventory will also have you specify the technology used or needed by the vehicle to report location and sensor information, for which 3 possible options exist. So vendor AVL only indicates the vehicle you are adding is supported by an AVL system and it has snow operations related telemetry. ArcGIS only indicates this vehicles needs drivers equipped with a device and can access the status reporter quick capture project, which enables that driver with location tracking and the ability to report service status and material usage. And the third option, vendor AVL and ArcGIS field operations, indicates this vehicle contains an AVL unit reporting location or movement data, but no sensors for plow or material spreading exist for this particular vehicle. So for these vehicles, drivers will also need to come equipped with a device and will report service status and material usage using the quick capture project. Having a complete understanding of the technology supporting your vehicles helps you identify gaps that need to be addressed before the winter season arrives. And it can also serve as a helpful reference when configuring your feeds in ArcGIS Velocity. Some additional non-required fields that are included in the vehicle inventory are there so you can expand your situational awareness about what assets are in the field in addition to where they're in the field, which can be helpful when reassigning plows or making quick adjustments when vehicles go out of service. The last required field I like to highlight is the solid material capacity field. Here you will define the full load carrying capacity in US tons for that vehicle. Used in downstream analytics, this vehicle's solid material capacity information is used to calculate how many tons of material have been used whenever drivers report this information after each round trip for more material, or when yard supervisors, dispatch, or other operations personnel report material used on behalf of your drivers using the material reporter. In this form, the pick list of my vehicles is connected to my authoritative data set of vehicles so that I always have the most updated information available to me when reporting material. I can choose to report a single load as drivers are returning back to the yard for more material, or I can report multiple loads at the end of the shift. Material reporting can also be conveniently launched from the vehicle page of the Snow Operations Center. So once complete, you can update your vehicle information as needed during the course of the season, updating things like vehicle status. For instance, this helps you account for vehicles that may be out of service for repair so that you can adapt and your operations accordingly. So as you can see, the vehicle's information is a fully connected part of your operations workflows used by material reporting forms, the quick capture project, and connected in downstream analytics. These workflows will help you prepare for and streamline your winter weather operations. So with your data loaded, your vehicle's inventoried, and after connecting your vehicle feeds to the solutions analytics, you will be ready for the first winter weather event of the year, which thankfully for today is not today in the Chicagoland area, but it's rapidly approaching. But now that we're ready for winter, let's take a look at some of the other sections in the Snow Operations Center and step through the process of defining a new winter weather event and start monitoring some operational activity. The Snow Operations Center events page lets you define active periods of operational activity during winter storms. You can record weather observations and provide summaries of operations activity during and after operational periods. As we will see in a few minutes, tracking operations as explicit events helps you compare response activity throughout the season so you can adapt plans or find room for improvement and training opportunities for your drivers. Connected to this event creation workflow is also an ArcGIS notebook that will ship with the winter weather operations solution. When configured on a scheduled runtime of the notebook will look for events that have been created. When a new event is identified by the notebook, it will kick off a series of commands that will start all of your solutions vehicle feeds and analytics. And conversely, when you use the Snow Operations Center to end an active event, on the notebook's next scheduled runtime, it will run a series of commands to stop all feeds and analytics associated with the solution, as well as trigger a process to reset the snow route status so that your public maps and active dashboards reflect the current state of no operational activity. By connecting an ArcGIS notebook to the events workflow, we not only free up resources and availability in your ArcGIS Velocity environment for other uses when operations are inactive, but we're also automating some processes that would otherwise require operations-focused personnel to receive additional training or to depend on technical staff to provide support for repeated tasks. So let's take a look at an ongoing event right now. As we can see, we have an Oktoberfest snow event happening. And before I get too far into this, I want to give a quick shout out to DuPage County, who's been very kind to share their vehicle movements from last year that we've now created as simulations. We don't have actual weather going on, so what we're looking at is a simulation of vehicle movements across snow routes in DuPage County, Illinois. The active events dashboard is really pulling together all of your upfront planning and preparation efforts to inventory vehicles, to define your snow routes, your priority areas and service areas. And the end product is really a comprehensive view of all of your active operations, tracking all vehicles in your operations regardless of previous technological limitations or fleet or contractor status. The vehicle list on the left and the real-time locations shown on the map is the centralized view, or the common operating picture, of all vehicles supporting your operations. Tracked together, you can intelligently use their movement and telemetry data to discern what roads have been serviced and track this progress as the winter event unfolds. This concept of route status, being able to show when a given route segment was last updated, is made possible through an ArcGIS Velocity big data analytic. Scheduled to run every few minutes, it takes your winter fleet activity and snaps this information to your snow routes or your road network. The end product is an enriched snow routes or road network data set that contains a timestamp of when a vehicle last traveled through a given area while actively in service. If a vehicle was reporting plow up and no active salt spreading, indicating they were not actively servicing a route while in transit, or between routes or deadheading, the analytic will ignore these locations, and the routes will not indicate if the route has been serviced as the vehicle passes through it. So as I poke at a map that we're of our analytics that have run and are reporting route status, I can see just based on my symbology, what has actually been serviced in the last 10 minutes, between 10 and 30 minutes, and any service over the last 30 minutes. You can also see different routes that may still have service pending, so they haven't been serviced at all in this time. So we can use this route status information to describe how much of our road network has been serviced. So graphics on the right indicate how much of our roadway has been serviced, and percent serviced is indicating, how much have we actually accomplished of our entire road network in actively servicing our roads. We can also interrogate our progress in this route status by looking at route status by different service districts that we might have, or if we wanted to use neighborhood boundaries. But I can get a look of our progress, by different service districts. I can also, just as important, or perhaps even more importantly, as a winter event unfolds, I can take a look at our different route priorities and make sure that, during an event that we're actually addressing our service level agreements and addressing our priority snow routes over other priorities. And just as important, especially for long running events, I can interrogate when we were last in a certain area, especially for our priority areas. So if it's been a long running and active event, I can check over the last 4 hours what hasn't been serviced over 4 hours ago. And again, I can look at my priority snow routes to double check on any progress that needs to be, that has been done, or some operations activity that needs to address these 3 miles that haven't been serviced in over 4 hours. This near real-time road status updates can be shared with the public, helping travelers understand when roads were last serviced and reducing the number of calls and complaints to your agency. The distance traveled and material used are 2 other key performance indicators that are tracked during your operations, and they provide a running total of all active vehicles in your fleet, but we can also track by actual vehicles as well. And the open requests indicator lets me know how many new or open requests that we have coming in from the community. And this would really help us monitor for trends or address issues quickly before small issues turn into larger problems. So our last destination in the winter weather operations solution is the winter season dashboard. And this can be used by operations management and directors to review key operations metrics over the course of the entire season. And it enables users to compare events and interrogate each event individually. This dashboard can also be helpful for validating phone calls and complaints. Some issues that might be reported are reported mailbox hits, so what we have on the map shown in front of us are all vehicle tracks that have been recorded throughout all of our different operational periods. If I'm aware of a time period and a road that may have had an issue, I can quickly narrow in on different roads and take a look at time period or an active event where an issue may have occurred. I can get very specific to a time period of a reported issue. And as the data starts to filter down on this map, give it a second to load. I can begin to take a look at the relation of my vehicle locations with the reported issues that somebody might have said that one of our vehicles had hit a mailbox on a given route. So using vehicle history location, I can start to validate those complaints or challenge them. All right. So I think this is a good spot for a break. I'm going to open it up to any questions for the winter weather operations solution.
Yeah.
Before I transition into the next. Yep. Sorry. Go ahead, Chris.
Yeah, I was just gonna. So we had one question that came in asking about. It looked like we were using a road network with single segments. Is there any logic where you could indicate which side of the road had been serviced and which haven't?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think with the way that the solution or the analytic is designed, it's leveraging the snap to network tool in the big data analytic, which would allow you to indicate which direction the vehicle is traveling. And for that matter, it would be able to discern which side of the road had been serviced. We're not doing that with this demo, but that can certainly be used and configured specifically with that tool that's shipped in the solution. That's a great question.
Another question came in. Does the solution require enterprise or use workforce?
Yep, another good question. The solution will only be supported in ArcGIS Online as a SaaS offering, as the required subscription for ArcGIS Velocity is currently only offered in ArcGIS Online. the solution does not leverage workforce, but yeah, I would like to hear maybe a little bit more about, what the workflows might be that would necessitate that. That'd be nice to know.
There was a question about if there's a product or company that's common for the telemetry location tracking on board vehicles.
Sure. Yeah, there's a lot out there. Verizon, CompassCom, Geotab are some really popular vendors that Esri works with. But there's a slew of other companies and vendor AVLs that are supported and can be connected within ArcGIS Velocity. So if we're not familiar with ArcGIS Velocity, it has been designed in a way to be very flexible to be able to connect to different vendor AVLs through their APIs. So if we don't have a direct connect already provided in Velocity, there's more than likely your vendor AVL will still be able to connect with a different connection feed, such as the HTTP polar feed. Good questions.
Yeah, and the other thing I'd throw out there is without an onboard AVL, like Ryan mentioned, you can also use ArcGIS location tracking and a configuration of quick capture to enable the drivers to track their location and report their status.
Absolutely.
There's a question. It says it sounded like velocity is not required. Can you describe a bit more on the impacts if velocity is not used?
Yeah, so early on, and I probably should have been pretty explicit about that, ArcGIS Velocity is required in order to deploy the winter weather operations solution, but it is not required to deploy the winter weather outreach solution. So some of the ramifications, if you did not use the winter weather operations solution, would be you only have access to be able to deploy the winter weather outreach, which is really focused on information products that are used by your community. So some public facing website where you can share your snow routes and snow route priority information. There is a workflow to be able to manually update route status that ships with the outreach solution. But again, the use of that is perhaps limited for larger or medium-sized organizations that that are kind of taxed with numerous drivers or a large road network. The workflow there is to, as information is being reported from your drivers, they would radio in and your dispatch would be able to use an app to update route status for any given segments throughout the community. That workflow may work for smaller communities and with less drivers and less roads to manage, but that may break down as far as the complexity to manage that information, and especially do it in a timely way for larger operations. I hope that answers that question.
Yeah, and I would add that everything you've seen so far in terms of demos was the winter weather operations solution. So everything you've seen so far requires velocity. What we're going to show next is the outreach solution, which doesn't require velocity. And then that piece that Ryan was talking about, if you use them together, you can get the automated route status. As vehicles pass through the network, the status of the routes is being updated automatically by the analytics and velocity. If you don't use operations and velocity, there's a manual web app where you can update the status as drivers radio in their information. There's a question about integration with 511. That specifically the question was about the REST API, but I wonder if you have any thoughts in terms of integration with 511. I imagine to push out information such as the route status information.
No, that's a great question. yeah, I don't see why that couldn't be shared. I don't know, Chris, do you have any thoughts as far as how that might work, or how that would link into that solution?
Yeah, I think, yeah, so we have a solution, the transportation 501 solution. And I could certainly see that public route status being another layer that shows up in that web application,
Right.
so that you communicate that as operations are occurring with the public. As you'll see in the outreach solution, we provide a focused web application to also report that status. But at least in the ArcGIS solution, I think it would be pretty straightforward. If you have your own 501 system and you're pushing that information out, we're just using an ArcGIS Online hosted layer to report that route status. So you could certainly use the REST API to query it and write it to wherever you needed it to go to get that information out. Like Ryan said, it's a near real-time analytic that's running. It's about every 3 minutes or so it's updating. So you could use similar logic to push that information to the public. Then there was a follow-up question of whether it could be shared with 911 as well. So certainly, yeah, I mean, whether 911 is using ArcGIS and wants to access the layers directly, or whether you have some back office process to push that to another system, it's all just an ArcGIS Online hosted layer with that information. And then there was one more question about the experience builder interface. So they picked up on that Operations Center was an experience, and
Right.
there was concern about some of the difficulty in making changes, editing in Experience Builder, and whether it's required, or could for example, an internal hub site be used, or other apps used in its place?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so as with a lot of our solutions, these information products, the Snow Operations Center, this gets laid down and pre-configured with the data model that's shipped, right? So it's looking at the web maps, and it's looking at the survey forms that are integrated into that experience, and that's already done for you. We certainly understand that if you have a preference to use parts of these solutions in a hub site, for instance, there's nothing holding you back from using the different parts and putting it in different places. You may lose some functionality as we've integrated and tied certain interactions in the experience together, especially with the survey forms to edit your data. But I think that it's definitely our expectation that you wouldn't have to go into the experience and make too many edits and updates with what is shipped.
Yeah, that's all the questions we have so far.
Okay, great. All right, I think I'm going to move on, and I'm going to transition now to the winter weather outreach solution. So the winter weather outreach solution is really geared towards engaging with your community and being able to share with them information about your operations, your service level agreements that you have with the community to keep roads safe. You can also report and provide kind of an overview of your winter season. So that's what we're looking at when we come here up front with some of these stats for seasonal totals. Just providing information to the community about all that you do during the winter season to keep the roads safe. We can see at the top of the screen we have a scrolling warning or scrolling indicator during active events, especially as certain thresholds are met. Parking restrictions go into effect in a lot of communities. And this is one way that you can drive that information to the public about things going into parking restrictions going into effect. And the site, as you scroll through, is really organized into 3 different areas for the public to use. So viewing a road status, this is what we were referring to in the previous winter weather operations solution that you can share with the public. This provides a quick and easy to understand view of snow route status in the community. Users can poke at the map and get a really good idea of, you know, when routes were last serviced or when routes maybe haven't been serviced yet. These apps and the site, for that matter, as you guys probably well know, are mobile friendly. So we definitely expect a lot of users to be accessing these things on their phone. So it definitely works and looks very good on mobile devices as well. Requests for service, you know, this is your entry or the community's entry into being able to report, you know, issues, unsafe roads, you missed my road, this intersection is icy, you hit my mailbox. This is where hopefully you can drive users to this form and kind of reduce the amount of calls that you might get during an active winter weather event. And the section for reviewing the snow plan is really, you know, to highlight your operations. This link is meant to link back to your organization's website, so you can direct people to additional content about your operations, your levels of service, agreements, and other planning documents that you might have related to your operations. And then the snow routes and restrictions launches an app that is a really easy to use and to understand, you know, where in the community is my organization responsible for providing snow and ice control activity. So this is another helpful app that hopefully reduces the amount of calls to your agency, so people can, you know, understand if, you know, your agency is actually responsible for plowing a road in a given area. You know, you can also deliver and view the priorities for your agency, so people can understand, you know, what routes would be serviced first and what routes are considered a priority, and that can help with the expectation of, you know, hey, just snowed, when am I gonna you know, see some plows in my area. And we can also show the parking restrictions and kind of drive, you know, some of the information that we have contained in those data sets to help people understand, you know, when this goes into effect and when it's lifted. So as a standalone app or as a standalone solution, the ArcGIS or the winter weather outreach solution will not ship with the route status layer that gets automated and automated updates, right? This will still ship with this layer, but this actually has to be managed through a separate web app, and that is really, you know, the functionality that we were talking about before. You know, if you're only using the winter weather outreach solution, you can still provide those manual updates, but you know, it may be a little bit onerous for larger organizations and that have, you know, larger number of vehicles servicing roads and a larger network of roads. All right, I'm going to pause there. That is probably a good place for additional questions about the winter weather outreach solution. As you guys can probably tell, you know, there's a clear distinction between the two solutions and the workflows that are supported. And and the the uses for each, as well as to reemphasize the licensing needed by operations for ArcGIS Velocity and outreach that does not require ArcGIS Velocity.
Ryan, does this require ArcGIS Hub Premium?
Good question. It does not require ArcGIS Hub Premium. This will ship as a standard ArcGIS Hub site.
That's all we have for questions on outreach.
Okay, excellent. All right, Chris, is there, this looks like we have one question.
There's a question about pricing on Velocity.
Okay, yeah, I can see that. Yes, ArcGIS Velocity, an advanced subscription is needed for the winter weather operations solution, and that is correct as far as the pricing goes.
That it would be.
Oh, sorry, yeah. I suppose other people can't see the questions, which is 45,000 per year.
Some of the reasons that we're requiring the advanced license level is number of feeds and analytics that need to run, as well as the scheduled big data analytic that's updating the route status requires the advanced license level. Something we're thinking about in the future, as this is our first solution that leverages Velocity. And like Ryan talked about, the notebook that's used to turn on and off feeds and analytics during a winter event. For most organizations, the winter season is a portion of the year. Your subscription for Velocity is on an annual basis. And we're thinking about future solutions that could also leverage Velocity for blue sky weather and year-round type events like trash pickup, bulk pickup, street sweeping, other common transportation and public works activities that are leveraging a fleet of vehicles and the need to track those vehicles and understand performance. So this pattern that we're doing for winter weather and snow plows, we see as being applicable in many other workflows, and we plan on expanding our solutions to support those, so you can leverage your investment in Velocity year round. All right, so in summary, the winter weather solutions are designed to help you. First, if we think of the life cycle in your operations, it's understanding and doing the work around planning. So managing your inventory of your routes, their priorities, and your response plans, understanding what restrictions might go into effect related to a particular snow event, and then building that inventory of your vehicles and understanding what equipment is on those vehicles so you can understand how you're going to track them and understand their service status. You're also, during a season, going to initiate winter events, and in the initiation of those winter events, you kick off the feeds and the analytics that are going to begin to run as you're tracking operations. And at the end of the event, you'll close those events out and record some information about, sums of snowfall and material usage and other things that you can use in after action. You can also use this solution to streamline your operation. So during an event, using it to report material usage, to record vehicle locations and their service status. You can use it to monitor your operations. So how are you progressing during the event? How effective are you at getting to your priority routes first and then moving on to your secondary and tertiary routes, as well as managing those service requests that are coming in from the public. And then using that information after the season to adapt your response plans for the following year, understanding how effective you were in meeting your service level agreements and the material that you used, so you can better plan for the following season. And the last component that we're delivering in the winter weather outreach solution is to help you increase your transparency and reach out to the public to, one, inform them of your operations in near real time. Also serves as a way to deflect call volume so people can self-serve, go to your website, understand what roads have been serviced, understand the priority that they have associated with them. And then allow them a destination to submit requests rather than calling you on the phone so that you can focus on operations during an event. So next slide, Ryan. So I'm not sure if any more questions came in. Doesn't look like any. If you go to the next slide. So in terms of feedback, Matt Bullock posted a link earlier on that allowed you to find the location. He posted in the chat as well. We really appreciate you submitting your feedback. That I'll hand it over to Matt.
All right, thanks, Chris. So thanks for everyone joining us today. I went ahead and posted some more links into the chat now, so you have some time before we end the meetup to click on those. So essentially, if you want to submit feedback, we have a form here. All of our meetups are recorded and we post them to YouTube. So I've posted the YouTube playlist here as well. You can find that information on the meetup site. I always link it there. And then if you want to engage with our team on ideas or other things that we do, so we use the new Esri community site, and we have an ArcGIS Solutions community there, so you can go and engage with us there. All right, so with that, that being said, that concludes today's meetup. We know your time is very valuable and we appreciate you joining us today. As a reminder, next month, we are hosting a meetup for the new park infrastructure management solution. So if you'd like to register for that meetup, head over to our meetup on meetup.com, sign up for that. We'll go through how you can manage an inventory and inspection and maintenance and all types of field opportunities for park infrastructure. So thanks again for joining today. Have a wonderful day and goodbye.